So, welcome again to the Health O Track podcast, where we talk to experts and decode health and wellness with them in a way that's simple to understand. So, today we have Supriya Sharma, who is truly a multifaceted personality. She's been described as a business alchemist, a noted speaker, an author with a strong academic background. She's passionate about youth empowerment and unwinds with golf and shooting. But today, she's here to talk to us about mindfulness. So, as we begin, welcome to the show, and do tell us something about yourself and especially on how you got interested in mindfulness.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sona, for the invitation to be on the podcast and also for the wonderful introduction, which in fact speaks all that I had to speak. But to further as to how did I get into mindfulness or how did I get acquainted to the realm of mindfulness was during my study years in the US. So when I was doing my MBA at the University of Iowa, that's when I got introduced to the concept of mindfulness.
Okay.
And how can one practice it?
Okay.
And that was the same time when we were in India already practicing mindfulness, because this is said to be the birthplace of mindfulness. Right. The yoga, meditation, mindfulness, and everything that goes around it in the circle is said to have burden in India. But the irony with me is that when I was studying abroad, that was the time when I got acquainted with this and I got to realize how could it be helpful for everybody, regardless of the profession we are in, regardless of the age, the background, the geography that we come from.
Sometimes things hit us when we are not actually actively looking. So we'll start with the very first thing that comes to mind, which is what exactly is mindfulness and why has it suddenly become a hot trending topic?
Interesting one. As you mentioned, we come across things when we are not looking for them. So mindfulness, just like anything else, has always been a part of the human life since life started on this planet. Mindfulness has existed since then. But the fact is, it got swiped into our lives only when the complexity of our lives increased. Or rather, we got to realize how complex our lives are getting.
Interesting.
It's nothing complex about the term as mindfulness or the practice at mindfulness, because as we said, it has been in existence and it's simply observing the things, the feelings, the sounds around us. Isn't it very human? Don't we do it as humans every day and every moment?
Maybe we do or maybe we don't. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And sometimes we do it without realizing that we are being mindful. I hope you agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because see, let's say I'm thinking about a presentation that I want to make in my office on Monday, right? I have prepared very well. I have put all the points down, all my slides and the deck, everything is ready. And I have practiced as well. But still, if it's my first or second or third presentation, or even after I have given hundreds of presentations, there would still be some kind of nervousness. The question that I would be asking myself, will I be able to do it the way it is expected? I mean, will I be able to do it perfectly? Would I be able to give my best or show how good I am at the skill that I'm talking about or the product or the service that I'm going to talk about?
Okay.
So if I'm sitting idle, I might be just thinking about it. Okay, what will I do with that presentation? So one thing is I calm myself down saying, okay, don't worry, Supriya, you have done thousands of presentations till date. And like every one of them have been great, this is also going to be great. But the second part of me might say, what if something goes wrong? What will people think of me? What will they think that after 15 years of corporate experience, is this how I'm presenting? So there would be two things going on in my mind at the same time. Judging myself, judging my abilities, and judging my thoughts about myself. Now, how is it different when I'm a mindful person? If I'm being mindful in that moment, how will my action or behavior be different? I would still be having those thoughts. Will I do well? Will I not do well? If I do well, I will be applauded because I have always been applauded. It'll still be the same thing that will be going on in my mind.
Right.
But if I'm mindful, I will not be judging those feelings. I will simply be observing them. I will let them come in and I will let them go out without coming to a conclusion whether I will be able to do well or not, or what happens if I will be able to do well and what happens if I don't do well. So it's simply about being present in the moment without judging what's around us or what's going on within us in terms of the thoughts that we are thinking, the feelings that we are having, or the things that we are seeing around us. Or let's say, in fact, it comes to food as well. So I'm sure in going forward, we'll be discussing about how we can also focus on mindful eating.
Big point. True. But I'm sure it's easier said than done. I mean, as humans, this doesn't come naturally to many. I'm sure it needs a lot of effort. So, what do you think are the benefits one can expect, especially for the youngsters and people in their beginning of their careers?
That would be really wonderful, because the way we humans work is, if we see the reward for our action, we are able to perform better. Now, if I'm a student, whether in my grade 12 or in my college, university, or even studying while I'm working, for any student, what's the most important thing when they are sitting down with their books and focusing their time on studies? The ability to concentrate,
True.
the ability to be present in the moment. So what they are reading, what they are understanding, what they are explaining to themselves is deeply ingrained, as opposed to just reading this and then forgetting about it. But when will I be able to retain what I'm reading or what I'm understanding? Is when I explain to myself in a concentrated fashion. If I'm not thinking about what was happening in my class today, what did my teacher say, or which new dress was my friend wearing, or why did my mom scold me? If none of these thoughts would be going on in my mind, I will be able to focus on my study.
Right.
So if I'm mindful as a student, I'm able to focus better. And if I'm able to focus better, I better as a student in whatever I'm studying.
Right.
If I am a professional, my productivity is important. What is my contribution to my organization? Whether I'm a starting level professional or I'm a senior executive, I'm as important as anybody else in the organization, and so is my contribution. Now,
True.
when will I be able to make that contribution the way it is expected of me in terms of the potential and the talent and the skills that I possess? When I'm mindful, when I'm present in what I'm doing. If I'm talking on the phone with a client on a sales call, I have to be fully present, because if
Right.
I'm not listening to them actively, if I'm not paying attention to every word that they are saying and even what they are not saying, I cannot answer their questions. I cannot handle their objections. I cannot convince them why should they buy my product or why
Sure.
should they go for a different product.
Sure.
This was just a sales example. Any
Yeah.
job function that I have in my organization, it works the same way. Even if I'm a homemaker or I'm taking care of people at home, what is expected of me? Love,
Yeah,
care,
absolutely.
affection. When does that happen? That only happens when I am present in that moment, when I'm attending to somebody. Or even if I'm just going out with friends, I'm hanging out with them, going out for dinner, coffee, whatever it could be, I still have to be present. Because as a friend, people are expecting me to listen to them actively,
Right.
to help them with their solutions, to share their happiness, to share their problems. And when will I do that? Only when I'm present. If I'm not thinking about my office work when I'm going out with my friends, that is the time when I'll be able to do my best as a friend.
Right.
So I think mindfulness works for everybody. And as an individual, regardless of the profession, age, background that we are coming from, we will be able to be better version of ourselves, to give our best in whatever situation we are, if we are mindful.
That's a wonderful way of putting it. So that brings us to the next one. How does one know that they need to step back from whatever they are doing and start practicing mindfulness? What's that cutoff when they absolutely have to step back and get help and relearn everything?
For me, I think it has been very simple. If I am participating in a particular activity, and if I'm not able to bring my mind, body, and soul to that activity, that is the time I realize that I need to step back, or I need some support, or I need to revisit this particular activity at a different time when I'm ready. So the trick is, if your heart, body, mind, when I say heart, I'm referring to the soul. So if the soul, body, and mind are not in the same place at a given time, that means it's time to step back, or it's time to carry out the activity at a different point in time, which might not be the case 100% of the times.
True.
And
That's
therefore, and therefore we are training ourselves to be mindful, to be able to cultivate that skill which is required of us in order to be the best version of ourselves and bring the best of the people around us as well.
what role does it have to play with stress? Stress is something that people talk about a lot nowadays. Everybody is stressed. It's job, it's your social life or whatever. I mean, stress is a part of everyday life now. So, how does it help with stress?
So I believe stress surfaces when we are not taking action. So if I know that I have to clear a competitive exam next year, what is it that I need to do? I need to start preparing for it. I need to take steps in that direction. If I'm taking those steps, I'll be mindful of the steps that I'm taking and the action and the effort that I'm putting into clearing that particular competitive exam. But
Okay.
if I'm not doing that, the only other option for me is to think, oh, what will happen? Only 8 months left. What will I do? I don't know if I should give the exam this year or next year. That is when I start getting stressed, when I'm not taking action in order to achieve my goal or solve a problem which is at hand. So,
Okay.
therefore, if any of the goals that we have, or a task list that we have, or any problems that surface at a given point in time, if we are giving attention to solving them, taking action in that direction, we will have no time and no energy for stress.
That again is easier said than done. In today's world, it's very difficult. It's very competitive. The youngsters today are stressed about not just their studies, academics. There are so many other things they have, to think about. But yes, I think that's one needs to approach somebody who can guide them in the right direction. So, how does one approach the subject? How does one go about learning it, unlearning all their past? Are there any courses or books or techniques to understand mindfulness?
As we've been discussing right from the beginning, that mindfulness has been in existence and we do practice it without being mindful of the fact that we are practicing. So, yes, it is partly being done and partly we are not doing it. At times, we are not able to do it, or we don't know how to go about it,
Right.
or we are so engrossed in what the matter is that we don't realize that, okay, mindfulness can help. So, certainly, there are techniques that could be learned. There's a lot of content online these days, but the catch again there is we have to know exactly what we are looking for.
Right.
I mean, having a headache and going in taking medication for a stomach ache doesn't help me, right?
True.
So
Yeah.
there are
So.
certain books there are certain books like The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh, or The Art of Happiness by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and more like it. There are more books that are talking about mindfulness, or how is it not something different or a complex subject to be approached. It's already a
Okay.
part of our life. It's just how we go about it. Very little adjustment in the way we observe things around us, letting not our surroundings control us. So if somebody criticizes me for what I am doing, let's say I was speaking very loudly somewhere in a public place, and then some people start criticizing me for the fact that I'm not being mannerful and I'm not being aware that I'm in a public place and I should not be very loud. What happens in that case? When somebody criticizes me or criticizes somebody, our first action is we go in for defense.
Right.
That's very human again.
Right.
That's what is ingrained in our psychology. So the stimulus and the action that we have, or the reaction that we have to it is, yes, we go in for defense. Could we not take a few seconds to realize if what we were being told or we were being told to do, was it actually needed at the moment? Was I right? Could I have done better in that moment? Instead of just going and blurting something out which might not be necessary, it helps. It helps
Right.
anywhere in life, isn't
Right.
it? Right
Right.
from the
Right.
time we are students to the time we are seniors and we leave the world, being able to analyze, process what is being said, and then giving a response and not a reaction to what is being said or seen or done around us certainly helps. There's no doubt about it. And how can we cultivate that? It is again through mindfulness. Now, mindfulness, as I said, is not something different. It's just pausing for a moment. If not 10 minutes, maybe just 10 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever works for us. In the beginning, we could always pause, observe what is being said, what is being done, what is being shown around us, as opposed to just being busy with ourselves. The fact is, whatever we are doing, just being present in that. If I'm
Right.
reading this book, which again is by the title of Buddham Sharanam, and it holds a chapter of mindfulness into it, I could actually say that yes, if when I'm reading a book, I'm totally focused on reading a book. Because there is again a very big misconception known as multitasking.
Right. Right.
Because we often think that, okay, while I'm reading a book, I could always have my phone in hand and text my friends or reply to whatever WhatsApp
Right.
messages have come. And I think, oh, I'm such a multitasker. At the same time, I will also be watching TV. I will also be talking to my family members. I will also be eating something. Hmm?
Yes, yes,
Five things at the same time.
absolutely. Yeah.
But the way the human brain is designed is there is nothing such as multitasking. It is switch tasking. The moment I take my eyes off the book and I look at my phone in order to read the message and reply to it, I
Hmm.
have switched the task. I have switched my attention to my phone and I'm not multitasking anymore. So, one thing at a time is another area of mindfulness only, isn't it? If I'm doing one
Right.
thing at a time, means I'm
Absolutely.
being present in that very moment.
Right.
As simple as that. So, I think by making small adjustments in the way we approach the tasks or the thoughts or the actions or the behavior, anything around us, taking a pause and reflecting, I think it helps to be more mindful in wherever we are.
That is a habit worth cultivating. I think the youngsters who are watching will be inspired. So, how easy or difficult did you find to make it a part of your daily life?
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, as you began the conversation by talking of stress and the number of things that we have to tackle at the same time, I think the more we have that, the more it calls for being mindful or being present with one situation at a time
Right.
and not trying to juggle all the balls at the same time or
Hmm.
simultaneously.
Yeah, that's
So,
an
on a
additional
scale, if I
cause
have
for
to put it
stress.
on a Absolutely. If I have to put it on a scale from 0 to 10, I would say cultivating the habit of mindfulness or being more mindful in whatever we are doing should fall somewhere between 4 to 5 because it has already existed. What is required is just a spark, just a nudge by us and not
Hmm.
somebody else also. It is us only who know ourselves the best. So a
Hmm.
small nudge by ourselves
Okay.
to ourselves will help us say that, okay, this is the time I have to be present here, and I will not be required to do anything else when I'm taking action on a particular matter. When I'm done
Right.
with this for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 hour, whatever is required of me, then next is the time when I can do something else. And there could
Right.
be some specific actions that we can take in this direction for those who are beginning to realize the fruit of mindfulness. Meditation helps. So there's a general question that gets asked or a discussion that pops up saying, what's the difference between mindfulness and meditation?
Right.
So mindfulness is simply being present in the moment. You
Hmm.
are there, wherever
Hmm.
you are, whether in your
Right.
office, your home, the football court, or the airplane, wherever you might be.
Right.
And meditation is just a technique or an act that helps you to be more mindful. It is just one of the acts that helps us to be mindful. That's it. So, if
Right.
mindfulness was a strategy, those who belong to the area of business, then meditation would just be a tactic, just a way to reach mindfulness.
Okay. You were speaking earlier about mindful eating. I think that's something we should discuss as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now that again, I would say our ancestors have had tremendous knowledge on what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, etc. Multiple books written, multiple strategies worked on it, which the world is following, not
Hmm.
just we as Indians, but which the world follows. Okay, emancipating from our Ayurveda, but why eating is another habit these specific days, which is being talked about so much.
Hmm.
If social media, meetings, even after an official meeting, there would be one or two jokes around eating for
Right.
sure, or the kind of diet that we are having. Hmm? And a lot of, again, information, talks, discussions, awareness sessions around what to eat, what not to eat, etc.
Right.
Which, of course, are important depending on what is our requirement, what is it that we are looking to achieve from a physical perspective, whether we are wanting to lose weight, gain weight, maintain the health that we have, gain some muscle, lose some muscle, whatever the case might be, whatever the goals are. In line with that, whether we have a dietitian or we collect some knowledge from the internet and we make our own diet plans, we do what is required.
Right.
Now that is the basic, that is the first step. Okay. And anybody can do it for you, and you can also do it for yourself. What's more important is whatever we are consuming based on that diet plan or without that diet plan, for that matter, has to be ensured that it is being enjoyed by us. So, another very common point that we come across and we notice some of us also practice watching TV while eating.
Yeah.
So we've seen that multiple times. Some of us do it, and some of us have just seen it. Now, what happens when we are watching TV when we are eating? Biologically, psychologically, there are multiple things happening at the same time. But from a layperson's point of view, I would say if we are watching TV and eating at the same time, we are not able to focus on the food that we are eating. And if we are not able to focus on the food that we are eating in terms of how is it smelling, how is it tasting, how is it looking, how does it feel on my fingers, the difference that you have when you eat rice with the spoon or a fork and versus when you eat rice with your hands, actually there is a difference. Okay. So it was from the act of mindfulness only that earlier in the era bygone, we used to use our hands for eating and not the spoons or the forks. So we are able to feel the food that we are eating. So only when I am involving all my senses as I eat, if I'm able to involve all my five senses, I exactly know what is happening. I'm present in the moment. I'm able to enjoy my meal, even if it is a simple, very simple meal. Still, it gives me a feeling of fulfillment. But if I am on my phone at the same time or watching Netflix while I'm eating, I might not know how my aloo paratha was tasting. But if I'm eating a mango, let's say mango is going to be in the season in the northern part of the country now. Okay, talking of the mango, because yeah, I think I love mangoes, and many of
Okay.
us do.
Yeah.
Well, many might not, but any fruit or any item that you eat for that matter, if we are able to feel that smell or have a very good look at it while we are eating or to feel it with our hands, involving all my five senses, we enjoy the moment, then you
Right.
don't need two or three mangoes in order to fulfill you. You will be happy with just one mango. What does it imply? You will be able to control your calorie intake at the same time
True. True.
because
True.
you
True.
are totally into that moment. You are enjoying your meal. So depending on the plans we have or whether we do not have any plans, if we are eating mindfully, we are involving all our senses at the time of eating. Number one, the nutrients get assimilated better. Number two, the food certainly tastes and feels better, and it gives a sense of fulfillment even within a small quantity if we are counting on our calorie intake. And number three, it makes you happy. And that's the most important thing at the end of the
True.
day.
True, true. That was interesting. So that brings us to one final query, and that's important, in fact, because I wanted to ask, and I think a lot of people want to ask, how soon should a child or be initiated into practicing mindfulness? Though as we know, it's a part of our life, and we follow it unknowingly. But in today's world, there are a lot of distractions. Kids are busy all the time. They all have phones and stuff. So, how early should one initiate this whole process of mindfulness?
From day one, I would say.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
as parents, a lot of us do many things or to in order to inculcate particular qualities and characteristics and talents and skills into our kids. We want them to be the best. And therefore, we want to give them everything. And if we want to give them everything, why not mindfulness also from day one? So,
Okay.
whatever we are being able to provide to our children get the best of it and they are able to enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, what matters in life is how fulfilled or how happy do we feel in whatever we
Correct.
have and whatever we are doing. I might be a billionaire, but I might still not be satisfied with my earnings. While at the same time, I can be earning 20,000 rupees a month and I can still be satisfied with what I'm earning.
Right. So day one is what we have been told, and I think a lot of people will want to follow it. And with that, I think we will end this. And it was a very enlightening discussion. And I hope to see you again sometime on Health or Track with some other interesting topic.
Absolutely. Wishing a very mindful week ahead. at least to begin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.